All right, welcome to day 4. Today is all about planning and goal setting and mindset. Like I mentioned yesterday, for a lot of people, you can give them, well, you guys know, there's tons of like food things, like food plans and meal plans and, fitness things you can download like off the internet. The problem that for most people is, yeah, you get excited about it, you do it, but it doesn't really last. I want to help people make changes that will actually last. And part of the problem, I think, is that diet culture has ingrained failure in so many people that I don't know that a lot of people are looking for something that could be their last thing. I don't know if they believe that it's actually possible. And so this is where I see like a lot of the subconscious stuff that maybe you're aware of or not aware of. If you think about it, little kids tend to not eat very well. And then you're a teenager and tend not to eat very well. And then you go to college and you don't have much money to eat very well. And then you go off into the world, as an adult. Meanwhile, you have 20 years of not eating well behind you. And so, people say, oh, like I just, like I'm just going to do this. I think that's why boot camps and all these other things are so popular, because people feel like it has to be like this really tough and rough. And, I need somebody to just, beat me down and, tell me exactly what to do. And those things will work for a while, but none of them really have lasting results. If they did, we would have an epidemic of health, right? We have more gadgets and fitness trackers and apps and all these things at our fingertips, yet we're sicker than ever. And I don't think it's, like as I like to say, like, well, if only you wanted it more, if only you had more self-discipline, if, one, on the other hand, like we've talked about the last couple of days, a lot of like what's out there just simply doesn't work. So that's one of the big hurdles. The other part is like, yes, I have a service I partner with that offers meal plans, but honestly, as a coach, I don't like them, because I believe that the way that you learn is to get in the trench and figure it out, and, there's templates and things like that that can kind of help get you started. But even then, you're still not actually learning like on your own. Because when you learn, like, okay, like open the fridge and, there's like these 3 random vegetables and, whatever. And I'm like, okay, like, how am I going to make dinner out of this? Most people, like, they've lost that ability to learn how to cook for themselves. Or, if it's not some comfort food or something that they've always cooked and suddenly they have to make something different, they're kind of lost. And I get it, because I was the same way. Like, I'm from Cincinnati. I have a lot of family down in Kentucky, and I grew up with the biscuits and the gravy and fried chicken and, chicken and dumplings and basically all the Southern comfort food you can think of. And so going paleo, I've had many, I don't know, probably hours, where I've stood and stared in the pantry or stare in the refrigerator or the freezer going, what the heck am I going to eat? And it, I consider myself a pretty good cook, but even then for me, it felt like I had to learn how to cook all over again. And I'm going to save you the mystery. Paleo baked goods are not the same as the real deal. And there's no paleo bread that's ever going to be like bread. I'm convinced. It's just, they all kind of come out like quick breads. Like gluten is evidently the texture and taste of bread. So when you're, I guess the mindset portion where people tend to get stuck, part of it is sort of like your hormonal response to food and being glucose dependent, and just the sort of the history and the relationship you have with food. So, for some people, like, they can go and have like a dessert and go right back to paleo and they're fine. And then there's other people, they may go have something sweet, and then it kind of turns into like a borderline hookers and blow, all sugar fest for the next 2 weeks. That's where you kind of have to be mindful of yourself. Like for some people, doing a 180 to paleo works. It works better because they don't have one foot in the past. And so that's sort of like the gradual thing. Other people, they tend to do better with gradual, because switching everything all at once feels like too much. It's overwhelming. They may have health conditions, where they can't. And so part of that is being aware, and then also looking at like pretty much every celebration that we have, there's some sort of unhealthy food there, whether it's donuts or cake or, ice cream or candy. That's kind of what we do, and then when you combine, growing up as a kid, like, oh, like you did really well on your school project or whatever, like, hey, let's go out for pizza or let's go out for, fill in some other like sugary thing. And so it's kind of ingrained in a lot of us, to kind of reward ourselves in that way. And so part of like making change that you want to last is just being kind of getting a grip on that, like looking, like recognizing those patterns in yourself of, stopping yourself and saying, okay, well, where does that belief come from? Because I believe once like what's standing in your way, the thought processes that bring it up, the things that sort of trigger it, it helps you sidestep it as you're going forward. And one of the biggest things I think that helps people like really make this a long-term life thing is focus on your why. Like, why are you doing this? Like, what made you sign up for this masterclass? What are you hoping to get if, you kind of dial into paleo lifestyle and, your health gets better? What does that look like? What could you do with better health versus, if you stay where you are, what happens? And so when you have those moments where you're like, I'm not really sure, or, you find yourself a week into like, a box of cookies a day or whatever your thing is. I don't know. Everybody has their own thing. Really looking at that and saying like, okay, why am I doing this? And hopefully your reason is more compelling than whatever it is like you're going to skip to eat that day, whatever. And like I said in past videos, like, do you have to be perfect forever? No. Like I'm a big believer in like, get to a place where you feel better. Get to a place where you're close to your goals. Clean it up, clean up your food, clean up your fitness, clean up your lifestyle, get to where you feel great. And then, try that thing out. See how it makes you feel, because when like, okay, like, yeah, I can have that. It's going to taste delicious. But tomorrow I'm going to have like X, Y, Z, symptoms that are going to creep in. Then you get to choose, do I want to feel that way tomorrow? Like, is this moment right now, is it worth it? Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. That's where you get to decide. Those are the things I can't really tell you. Like, oh, you should, like, people think, like when I go to a dinner party or something, they're always afraid I'm like judging what they're eating, and that's not me. Actually, like a lot of times when I go to dinner parties, I eat things that I typically wouldn't eat, almost because I want to make people more comfortable, I guess, which I really shouldn't do. That's my own issue. It's currently COVID season, so I haven't like gone to any parties in a long time. But I just want to say, like, for a lot of people, like I said before, it's those subconscious patterns. It's that the habits and the comfort food, and that's kind of the stuff that you really have to look at and address. There's some people who are just so sick and tired of being sick and tired. They're like, tell me what to do. I'm going to do it. And that subconscious stuff doesn't even register. And then there's other people I've worked with who the subconscious actually has more weight than whatever they want to do. So it kind of depends on where you are in that spectrum. So just be mindful of it. I put together a workbook for you guys. You know, we can kind of get clear on hopefully the things that may have stood in your way when it comes to getting healthy in the past. And also giving you space to write out like where you want to go, you know. And so I hope that helps you guys. I hope the last 4 days have helped you guys a little bit, get a little bit clearer maybe on some of the things you could do to kind of help improve your health situation. You know, like I'm constantly looking for ways to help people because we're sick, our kids are sick, you know, and I know for me and I know for you that all of our ancestors behind us, they didn't make it this far for you to feel the way that you do, right? I mean, if you get into the whole, you know, like weaker genes, like should make it to the next generation, but we're here, you know, like, I don't know about you guys, but like, I don't remember my mom and her friends sitting around talking about like who could have gluten and who could have dairy and, you know, whether their kids could have nuts or, I mean, I'm from, you know, I was born in the 70s. And so like we all took peanut butter and jelly to school and all the kids drank milk and they didn't have, you know, signs outside every classroom, like no gluten, no dairy, no nuts, you know, none of this, none of that, you know, like seeing that our kids have problems with food, like it's not you, it's the world that we're in. So anyways, I would love to help you as much as I can. So if you need to reach out, and I hope this masterclass has helped you guys. All right, take care.